Have you ever thought intensely about someone, only for that person to text you seconds later or show up unexpectedly? Or have you ever opened a random page of a book and found the exact words you needed to read at that moment? Perhaps you've experienced a series of coincidences so precise they seem to be choreographed by an unseen intelligence. If so, there's something you should know. You weren't imagining it. In the hidden pathways of existence, there exists an invisible web that connects thoughts, events, people, and energies. A secret language written not with words, but with symbols, repetitions, unexpected encounters, and fleeting signs. We call this sacred language synchronicity, but synchronicity is not a coincidence. Not a coincidence of circumstances, but the concrete manifestation of a profound spiritual principle. Everything that happens on the visible plane has a root in the invisible plane. And when two lines of reality intertwine for no apparent reason but with strong meaning, it's because your soul and the universe are dancing in perfect harmony. This video isn't just a reflection on coincidences. It's a revelation about the nature of reality. Let's explore why what you seek also seeks you, how synchronicities act as soul signals, and how you can refine your perception to become a conscious reader of the hidden code that guides the flow of your life. The universe can speak to us through numbers, chance encounters, unusual recurrences, or dreams come true. And if every synchronicity were a kind of cosmic wink, a subtle hint telling you you're on the right path or that you need to take an unexpected turn. On this journey, you'll discover what synchronicity truly is from an esoteric perspective, how ancient traditions understood this phenomenon, how to distinguish true synchronicity from mere coincidence, and how the subconscious, soul, and the universe silently work together to guide you. And why does your entire reality begin to change when you pay attention to the signs? Synchronicity is like a whisper between dimensions. In this way, the unseen peers into the material world to remind you that nothing is separate, everything is connected, and you are part of a greater plan than you realize. Prepare to open the eyes of your soul, connect with the mystery, and begin reading the hidden card of destiny. Because you are not here by chance, but because what you have always been searching for has also been searching for you. The idea that life events are not simply random, but are connected by an invisible web of meaning, is not new. Long before modern psychology attempted to define synchronicity, the sages of antiquity spoke of a hidden order that weaves the events of existence together with invisible threads. In ancient Greece, fate was not viewed as a sequence of random events. Philosophers and poets spoke of the Moirai, three divine figures who wove the thread of each person's life. Interestingly, this weave was neither linear nor mechanical. It was a cosmic dance in which the soul's decisions, thoughts, and desires influenced the fabric of time. In other words, fate wasn't predetermined, but it wasn't accidental either. It was a co-creation of being and the universe. This vision is also present in Eastern traditions. In Hinduism, the concept of karma is more than just mechanical cause and effect. It's a vibrational network of actions, thoughts, and emotions that influences not only what you experience, but also when and how you experience it. In this context, synchronicities are seen as the effects of a deep spiritual alignment, as signs that the soul has touched its own center and the universe is responding with precise reflections. The Taoists, in turn, spoke of the Tao, the harmonious flow of the cosmos. According to this philosophy, things flow naturally when people act in harmony with the Tao. The right encounters, the precise answers, the miraculous events arise effortlessly, not because they were forced, but because one has learned to resonate in harmony with the hidden movement of the universe. This principle is even recognized in Hermetic esotericism, a mystical movement with great influence during the Renaissance. The famous phrase, "as above, so below," speaks of a mirror between levels. What happens on the material level is a reflection of something that has already happened on the subtle level. Thus, what appears to be a coincidence is actually the echo of a previous energetic movement. Synchronicities would then be the visible manifestation of an invisible alignment between your soul and the flow of the whole. But it wasn't until the 20th century that the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity, observing how seemingly unrelated events in his patients coincided with emotions, dreams, or deep intuitions. For Jung, these meaningful coincidences were an expression of what he called the collective unconscious, a vast matrix of symbolic information that connects all people on an archetypal and spiritual level. What's fascinating is that Jung viewed synchronicity not as simple psychology, but as a form of communication between the soul and the universe, a bridge between the inner and the outer, where time is no longer linear and meaning emerges as a sudden revelation. Today, with the expansion of our consciousness, we return to this ancient idea from a new perspective. We recognize that life is not a sequence of mechanical events, but a cosmic symphony responding to the vibration of our consciousness, and that synchronicity is nothing other than the universe guiding us with symbols, reflections, and encounters that only the awakened heart can read. Therefore, in every repeated number, in every phrase repeated in different places, in every inexplicable coincidence, there is a voice speaking to you, a force beyond chance, saying, "Go on, this is for you. You are not alone." In the next section, we'll unravel the deeper mechanisms of this invisible dance. How does synchronicity work? Why does it manifest? And what role does your inner frequency play in attracting these everyday miracles that change your reality? Imagine for a moment that the universe is a vast, vibrant, spider web-like network of pure energy. Every thought, emotion, or intention you consciously or unconsciously radiate is like a vibration that runs through this network. This vibration doesn't disappear. It spreads, it connects, it seeks its echo and finds its reflection somewhere in space-time. This reflection can take the form of a person who appears exactly when you need them, a message that addresses your inner dilemma, or an event that fits together with miraculous precision, without any logical explanation. This is synchronicity. But how does this subtle, almost magical mechanism work? First, we must understand that reality is not an isolated physical mechanism, but rather a network of energy and information. Everything vibrates, everything emits frequencies, and you are not a passive observer of this reality. You are an active node, a transmitting and receiving antenna in this vibrational field. When you think clearly, feel intensely, and desire sincerely, you create a coherent wave. This wave becomes a call, an invitation, an intention that is introduced into the fabric of existence. And how does this fabric, which is neither dead nor numb, respond? With a sign, with a coincidence, full of meaning, with a synchronicity that breaks the mold of the ordinary. This principle works because inner vibrations create external attraction, not in the superficial sense of attracting what you think, but from a deeper logic. You attract what you are at your innermost level of consciousness. When you radiate the frequency of fear, you attract reflections of insecurity. When you radiate peace, compassion, or true love, the universe will resonate with the same vibration. Synchronicity is then a manifestation of coherence between the inner and outer. It's not coincidence, but resonance. It's not magic, but alignment. Let's look at it with an example. Suppose you've been feeling a deep desire to change the course of your life for days, but you don't know how. One afternoon, for no apparent reason, you feel the urge to enter a bookstore. You're walking among the shelves and a book falls in front of you. You open it and find, in the first few pages, exactly the idea you needed to make your decision. Was it a coincidence? Perhaps on a superficial level. Yes. But on a more subtle level, this situation was an energetic reaction to your inner state. You vibrated a question and life answered with a key. It wasn't the book, it was your frequency. It was your soul speaking to the universe, and the universe responding. This phenomenon often occurs when you are most present, most connected to yourself, or in moments of inner transformation. Synchronicity often increases when you are going through personal crises, profound changes, spiritual awakenings, or momentous decisions. Why? Because your energy becomes more intense, more authentic, more open, and the universe always responds to the call of inner truth. But here's something crucial. Synchronicity doesn't control your destiny. It reveals it to you. It shows you paths, but it doesn't force you to follow them. It offers you signs, but you decide whether to read them or ignore them. It is a guide, not an imposition. For it to serve as an ally in your life, you must develop a very fine art, mindfulness. Without attention, synchronicity goes unnoticed. Without opening, it becomes background noise. But when you are awake, when you follow your emotions and listen to your intuition, the universe becomes a mirror, reflecting not only what you are doing, but also what you are ready to see. In the next section, we'll delve deeper. We'll explore the nuances, contradictions, and hidden secrets of synchronicity, because not all signs are what they seem. And sometimes the strangest coincidence is the most direct path to a profound revelation. To speak of synchronicity is to enter a liminal zone, a territory where the rational loses its rigidity and the symbolic gains strength. It's easy to wonder about the idea that the universe sends us signals and that there are hidden messages in everyday events. But it's also easy to fall into illusion, because not everything that appears to be synchronous actually is. And distinguishing between an authentic sign and an ego illusion is one of the greatest challenges of the spiritual path. Synchronicity is, by definition, a meaningful coincidence, but not causality. And this feeling can neither be measured with scientific instruments nor proven with statistics. It is something that is recognized internally as a deep resonance in consciousness. This recognition, however, requires spiritual maturity, for if it is lacking, what is perceived as synchronicity can become a game of desire, a projection of fear, or a simple confirmation of unconscious mental patterns. Herein lies the first, a great paradox. The more anxiously one searches for signs, the stronger the forces become and the less authentic they are. The ego is clever. It quickly learns the language of symbols. It knows that repeated numbers, names that repeatedly cross paths, prescient dreams, or chance encounters awaken in us a sense of destiny, mysticism, and direction. But the ego also knows how to disguise obsession as intuition, how to turn fear into prophecy, and how to treat anxiety as certainty. So, what do you do in the face of this dilemma? How can you distinguish between true synchronicity and an illusion? The answer lies not in external events, but in the inner vibration these events awaken within you. True synchronicity doesn't create fear, but clarity. It doesn't appear as an all-consuming urgency, but rather as a child's play that creates order. It's not a sign that compels you to act blindly, but rather a revelation that invites you to look beyond the obvious. Now there's a second, more complex level. There are synchronicities that serve not as a guide, but as a test. The universe does not always act as a benevolent advisor. Sometimes it acts like an unforgiving mirror. A person appears in your life at the right time. It corresponds to an old emotional pattern. You feel attracted to them. Indeed, it is even your destiny to be with them. Everything seems to be falling into place, but soon old conflicts resurface, wounds open, and you realize that the universe has seemingly given you what you asked for, but in reality, it has shown you what you have not healed. This kind of synchronicity isn't fake, but brutally honest, reminding us of an uncomfortable truth. Synchronicity doesn't always point you to the path you want to take, but rather the one you must face. In this case, spiritual awareness is essential. It's not enough to see the symbol. You must understand the message, and to do that, you must observe your body, your heart, and your energy. The event expands or shrinks you. It brings you deep peace or spiritual urgency, resonates with your soul, or satisfies your needs. There are no automatic answers to these questions. They require pause, reflection, and silence, because synchronicity is not a mathematical formula. It is a dance between your level of consciousness and the response of the universe. And in every dance, you must learn to listen to the rhythm, not to rush into it, and not to control yourself. Therefore, spiritual humility is one of the fundamental principles of the art of living in harmony. The humility to recognize that not every message is meant for you. The humility to accept that sometimes you won't understand the signal until months or even years later. And the humility to know that true power lies not in seeing more signs, but in thoroughly interpreting the ones you already have. Finally, there's the paradox that crowns all others. Synchronicity cannot be sought, only recognized. As soon as you try to provoke it, it hides. As soon as you let go of control, it will reveal itself. Synchronicity doesn't submit to desire, it manifests in surrender. And when you stop demanding answers and begin living from the center of your being, the right events, people, and symbols reveal themselves with the precision of a cosmic intelligence that has been waiting for you to be ready. In the next section, We'll discuss how to cultivate this spiritual openness without falling into superstition and how to make synchronicity a daily ally, not as an external oracle, but as the silent compass of the soul. It's not enough to understand synchronicity. You must live it, breathe it, and integrate it into your daily life to perceive the reality beyond the surface noise. Synchronicity is not an exception to the rule. It is the norm of a conscious universe, except that most people live detached from this reality. In this section, we explore how you can begin to tune into the synchronous flow of life, not out of superstition, but out of a refined and vibrant awareness. The first and perhaps most important step is mindfulness. Synchronicity doesn't mean that the universe suddenly starts talking to you. It means that you finally start listening to it. And to do that, you have to get out of autopilot, out of mental urgency, out of the need to control everything. Synchronicity lives in the present. Only when you live in the here and now with all your senses and your soul is awakened do you begin to perceive the invisible threads that connect you to your surroundings. 1. Cultivate the art of symbolic observation. The universe communicates with symbols, not speech. Learn to observe things you previously overlooked. Which words are repeated in your conversations? Which numbers appear in sequence? Which songs are playing when you need them most? Which names, animals, colors, or expressions appear at key moments? It's not about interpreting everything as a signal, but rather recognizing the emerging patterns. Keep a synchronicity notebook. Write down what happened, what you felt, and what you thought. Over time, you'll realize that these weren't coincidences, but messages. Second, tune into your inner frequency. Synchronicity responds to your vibration. If you're stuck in inner chaos, you attract confusion. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in harmony, the universe aligns with you. Therefore, cultivate practices that help you raise your frequency. Meditate regularly and connect with nature. Surround yourself with beauty and stillness. Practice gratitude every day. These actions not only cleanse your energy field, they also make you receptive to the subtle. Third, don't chase signs. Live with a purpose. Synchronicity is not an oracle that predicts the future. It's a compass that guides you back to the present. The more you chase the signs, the more you force them and the further you move from the flow. But when you live with clear intention, when you act from the heart and not from lack, the universe begins to respond in a mirror. Ask yourself this question every day. Am I walking purposefully, or am I waiting for something external to give me this purpose? Synchronicity seems to replace your will rather than strengthen it. 4. Trust your intuition, not your assumptions. Intuition is the quiet voice of the soul. Assumptions are the loud echo of the ego. Learn to distinguish them. Intuition requires no explanation. It feels like serene certainty. Assumption requires constant justification. It feels like fear disguised as a message. If a perceived synchronicity fills you with obsession, pushes you to act impulsively, or makes you feel like something has to happen, maybe it's not a synchronicity. Maybe it's a projection. 5. Give thanks before you understand. Not every message comes with an instruction manual. Some synchronicities only make sense later. So be grateful instead of trying too hard to understand everything. Gratitude attunes the soul. An attuned soul even hears what hasn't been said yet. Living in synchronicity doesn't mean waiting for miracles, but rather living in the knowledge that the miracle is reality itself, if viewed with open eyes. You don't need signs to know you're being guided. But if you live coherently and with an open heart, the signs will come. And what you consider coincidence today will become a language, the language of the soul in constant dialogue with the whole. At that point, synchronicity is no longer a curious concept or anecdotal phenomenon. It reveals itself for what it truly is, the secret language of the universe in constant dialogue with your consciousness. We no longer speak of simple coincidences, but of meaningful messages that emerge when the soul is ready to receive them. We have seen that synchronicity is not an external mechanism that pleases you, but an inner reflection that reveals who you are and where you vibrate. It doesn't happen that you are convinced of something mystical. This happens because you yourself have provoked a reaction deep within your being, and this reaction comes not with a bang, but with symbols. It doesn't impose itself, it doesn't imply, it doesn't force. It guides. It is a quiet whisper between the folds of time, an echo of the soul speaking to itself throughout the world. We live in a time when many are searching for certainties, signs, and external validation. And amidst this noise, synchronicity acts as a subtle compass, pointing not north, but to your center. For the true spiritual journey consists not in looking outside, but in listening within. And synchronicity, in its purest essence, is an accurate reflection of your inner state, projected into the mirrors of the world. When you realize this, you no longer walk around expecting miracles. Walking becomes a miracle when you experience each moment with awareness, openness, and clear intention. You become a conscious co-creator of your reality. And that is the greatest gift this knowledge can give you. The understanding that you are not isolated, lost, or forgotten, that what you are seeking is also seeking you. May every sincere thought, every authentic emotion, every soul-born action trigger a reflection in the fabric of the universe. Thus, an apparent coincidence becomes certainty. What seemed unrelated reveals a pattern, and what you called coincidence turns out to be fate in action. This is your calling, to live in the present, to stop ignoring the signs, to trust your intuition as the bridge between your consciousness and the mystery, and to create a life in which synchronicity is not an exception, but a constant. For when you connect with your deepest truth, the entire universe is conspiring not to please you, but to awaken you. And in this awakening, you will see that every number, every sentence, every person that appears at the right moment is not there by chance, but because you have summoned them with your vibration, with your search, with your development. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the hidden truths life whispers to those who dare to listen. Like this video if you feel something has been activated within you. Share this content with other seeking souls. Tell us in the comments what your most haunting experience of synchronicity has been and what signs the universe has given you recently. Because perhaps the universe is already planning the next sign for you as you write your story.